There is the fake moon, and there's OPD repeatedly flying over this apartment, vibrating the apartment. That's called sensational activity creation. All right, and this is where the fake sun was, right here where I'm pointing my finger. That's where the sunset was, where OPD was on video stalking by helicopter again. They're repeatedly flying over this apartment building as I'm stepping out in order to capture it. This is the criminal conduct that Mike LORENZ is accountable for. In the same way that the criminal activity that the Los Angeles Police Department is captured engaging in, Dominic Choi is responsible for. And the same criminal activity that the Monrovia Police Department is engaging in, including helicopter, stalking by helicopter, Alan San Victoris is responsible for. This is occurring in the specific environment. I'm pointing out a pattern amongst the entity that's engaged in group stalking. They are repeatedly flying over my apartment. That's why I'm capturing video right now. And they're doing so as they're monitoring what I'm capturing online. And I want to be clear, I'm capturing, this is relevant for the prosecution of the people of the state online, and it includes YouTube. And so I'm going to show you why they're group stalking me. That's why they're engaging in stalking in helicopter. So that's what is relevant about the pattern of conduct. But with regard to what their knowledge about what I'm doing online, that's what I'm going to show you right now on video. And this is relevant to Title 18 criminal activity. The demon that's group stalking in apartment number 55 is maintaining ongoing chorus, which is amplified audible activity. In the same way that I'm walking, this is a demon, and it doesn't matter what their weight is. It's a method of stalking with noise. It's a method of ongoing a demon that's crossing path, and it coexists with ongoing amplified audible activity. That's a demon in apartment 55 right above group stalking where they live. That's a basis for federal prison. It also is while you're looking at police department stalking, and this demon in apartment 55 is engaged in group stalking in sync with that police department. And that's, again, the terrorist organization, the Ontario Police Department. I want to be clear, this entire apartment complex is due. You're talking about the 7-Eleven across the street, the demons that live on. With regard to prosecuting the population that's engaged in group stalking, the zone of relevant positioning, you're talking about federal prison for everybody in relevant position. And I've documented this neighborhood engaging in this system for years, by the way. So I just want to be clear because that's how massive the crime is. I'm going to focus in on what the entity is engaged in monitoring online, and that's also communicating a threat because they're hostile regarding what it is that I'm reviewing, and it includes the criminal activity of YouTube. So regarding what's online, what's not online, what is published online are all of my playlists regarding every day. For example, today is September 15th. You can see that September 15, 2024. On a daily basis, I'm capturing evidence and I'm publishing it. It's organized on the website. And this is an interior of the page, the channel customization. So that's what I'm showing you so that you can see what it is that I have created in order to view on the front page, in order to see what it is that I have created for purposes of seeing at plain view where it is that you can look at the evidence, the daily podcasts that are published, the highlighted terrorism and psychological torture that the Ontario Police Department just engaged in right now. This is highlighted on the front page where you can see, again, the very spectacular and criminal and demonic activity, including stalking by helicopter, that the Los Angeles Police Department is heavily engaged in, and it's captured as a matter of being placed on the front page on the YouTube. The government that's engaged in trying to protect itself from exposure and keep it a secret, even while it's on the internet, is fully interested and is engaged in ongoing criminal activity of the same nature while it is monitoring the evidence that it is seeking to conceal online. And this is going toward the prosecution of YouTube. Google is going to be prosecuted. This is relevant to what is removing my evidence that is available and should be available. So for example, I'm going to show you this as you go to create what is a playlist, for example. And this is what is not appearing on my front page, and this is intentional. And as I review it and seek to add it, it will not generate on my page. So the latest playlist, which would include July 31st, July 30th, right? The entity, and this is creating a playlist that would be generated on the front page. It is created as an option because it is available as an option. If it's not an option, then it wouldn't be available. I have put it here in order to add this, meaning these multiple playlists for July 31st, the 30th, the 29th, and the 28th. This is what I want to show on my page. And as I include this, I publish it. You have the option to see it, and you will see it not appear on my front page. And as I'm editing this and I'm going through all the obstacles that is showing not my evidence not appearing on the front page, which is intentional. The entity that's stalking me in a helicopter right now is engaged in monitoring and engages in more of this helicopter activity as I'm online finding, maneuvering around what the entity wants to keep off of the front page in order to keep it, again, a secret. So first of all, what I just published to be on the front page is not appearing. So the playlist, you can see starting from February 13, 2024 up until the present, not present, up until July 31st, rather, is where the videos are published up to that date. And YouTube is fully capable of showing every playlist that you're creating. There's no limit with regard to how many playlists you can create and how many will be revealed on YouTube. But again, with regard to obstruction of justice and the entity that's flying over me repeatedly in helicopter while I'm looking at the criminal conduct. This is criminal because they want to protect criminals and corrupt government actors and demons, their condition and their criminal activities, such as Mike LORENZ, again, who is engaged in a criminal obstruction of justice while the demons of the Ontario Police Department are terrorizing me in real time while I'm online, and they're seeking to cover up the evidence by keeping it off of the front page. If it's not on the front page, then you're looking at the YouTube channel and you're not looking at any availability to see it on the internet. You go to the playlist and it will not show beyond July 21st, 2024. I have published up until July 31st, 2024. You can see that this is showing the date added with regard to the latest date. This is the latest date that will generate. However, the latest playlist in totality, I'm showing this because this is going for the prosecution of YouTube represents the people of the state. And so online, this is a method of obstruction of justice, and the criminal conduct that the Ontario Police Department is engaging in this, at the same time in the specific environment, is directly relevant to what they know that I am capturing and I'm looking at and seeking to modify. While they're engaging in terrorizing me, flying over the apartment, and while they're flying over, that's not going to create any vibration of the apartment building, and that's what's ongoing as well. So I want to document that they're engaged in the P.O.C. and they're also engaged in what is another method of obstruction of justice, and YouTube will be subject to a criminal prosecution for it. Okay, so civil and criminal, because you're talking about damages for what is threatening my life. Understand what the ordinary target individual is going to be protected from. So I'm experiencing it, I'm exposing it, I'm going to prosecute for it, and it's also informing what the ordinary target individual will be guided, it's going to be protected from, because this is what the government intends to do. All right, and YouTube is not ignorant of it. I am prosecuting the people and the state as well. YouTube is nothing other than the government. I want to make that clear. YouTube is engaging in what is malicious methods of concealing information, just making it so the playlists that are very much in existence, the evidence that I have made to be visibly seen on the front page, is not appearing. And that's to protect corrupt government, those that are engaging in conduct, conspiring to murder and kidnap me, such as Joe Tyler, conspiring to murder and kidnap me, whose demons of CAL FIRE corrupt government actors are group stalking, engaged in criminal surveillance, engaged in federal stalking, and the entity is acting to protect them. That's also providing more credibility, which I don't need. This is showing the loser that the state is and how fearful the government is regarding my evidence, okay? How probative it is and how accurate it is. I don't even need that corroborating evidence by their criminal conduct. I don't even need it. But I'm giving relevant context regarding the entity's efforts to obstruct justice and keep their secrets off of my YouTube channel. They're doing the same thing with my podcast. So I want to be clear. This is the playlist that's not showing on the front page. It will only show up to a created playlist. There's more than up to July 21st created. It's up to August 2nd, 2024. But for a person that goes to my playlist, you will only see up to July 21st, 2024. That's deliberate. You can see if you go to videos, however, you see July 31st, 2024 is published because I made playlists and I have published up to July 31st, 2024. But with regard to what I want to be shown on the front page, the entity is engaged in criminal conduct and is engaged in hovering, stalking, monitoring what I'm doing online as I'm reviewing this, that the entity is seeking to conceal in real time. Immediately, the entity is stalking by commercial airline planes, amplified audible activity group stalking. That's the elements of monitoring in sync with what you're doing online. Also by helicopter. And so I'm stepping out so that you can see what Ontario Police Department is repeatedly doing. You can clearly see them flying over my apartment. They're not targeting anybody else also under the fake sun and under the fake moon, which is also over the apartment complex. This is the same complex where the fake sun was over the property as well. The sun and the moon over me, where the entity is flying over me by helicopter, is the P.O.C. And the entity is doing so, the demon in the third party in apartment 55, that's the state maintaining the elements of monitoring, acting through a demon-possessed third party, whose name is information to be produced. The current demon that's leasing that apartment is engaged in criminal conduct by virtue of their address, and they're engaged in the demonic pattern of conduct, which they're not free to do in that apartment. It's a third-party facilitating venue. They don't have any property rights, any privacy rights in the specific environment, regardless of whether you're paying a mortgage, you're paying on a note, you're paying rent. It's a third-party facilitating venue, and that's criminal activity by the state. Where the state is stalking, so is apartment number 55, maintaining elements, criminal activity. This is how a government is acting with the people, and they're online fearful of my evidence, okay? So that demons like Paul Leon, this is the mayor of Ontario, is fully aware of what the entity is seeking to keep off of the internet, fully aware of the demons, a part of the LAPD, whom this demon, Paul Leon, a corrupt government actor, is fully aware of what the corrupt department, the Ontario Police and the San Bernardino Sheriff's Department are engaged in its surveillance. And that's why they're acting in sync to conceal, which YouTube is engaged in. YouTube is inevitably implicated while I'm on the YouTube channel and I'm unable to use ordinary functions of the page, of the channel. Okay, you have these options in order to publish your information. The entity is repeatedly going on and making my published videos private. After I publish them, going back behind and making them private to keep it off the front page, so that when you go to my front page, you will not see what is already published. And so this is where you see here, July 31st is the latest date published, but it's not appearing on my front page, even though I have it selected to be a part of the playlist that you should be able to go on and look at. So I just want to show this because this is what the Ontario Police Department is hostile to, and they're threatening my life, harassing and terrorizing, group stalking, being demons, group stalking, and engaged in federal stalking while they are monitoring what I'm doing on the internet, which they don't want me to maneuver around in order to have it appear on the internet. They're engaged in criminal conduct, monitoring internet use, the ability to access functions online while they're flying over by helicopter. It's affecting what I have access and the ability to do on the internet. So that's literally what you're looking at. Okay. So I just want to make sure that I'm giving context regarding what is clearly the pattern of conduct. You already know what LAPD was doing for years. You also know, based on the evidence that's already on the record regarding the Ontario Police Department, another terrorist organization, very heavily documented, engaged in the P.O.C. All right. And it's not just this demon in apartment 55 above. It's not just the demons of the Ontario Police Department. The entire state of California, Cal Fire, San Bernardino County Fire Department, the Ontario Fire Department, American Medical Response, the Ontario Police Department, the San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department, the Los Angeles Police Department, the Monrovia Police Department, the Las Vegas Metropolitan Police Department, the Nevada State Police, the California Highway Patrol, the entities that get the Orange County Sheriff's Department, the Costa Mesa Police Department. I'm pointing out all of the aspects of the state who are very much paying attention to what I've published about them, to what I have documented about them, and they're all equally engaged in conspiring to murder and kidnap me while also trying to conceal the evidence of that criminal system that they're engaged in. That's why there's evidence as precise as videos on a playlist that are not appearing, that should appear. And this is not a small thing, it's a major thing. The ordinary target individual will be capable of blowing the whistle, publishing evidence videos. It doesn't have to be as detailed and refined, okay, and as sophisticated as mine. You upload a video with regard to the ability to publish publish and blow a whistle. The entity is actively engaged in trying to conceal this. And what it is you're going to pay even more attention to all of the names of the demons, such as Paul Leon, such as Mike Lorenz, all right, such as Shannon Dykes, such as the Ontario Fire Chief, such as the demons of Jeremy Dean, the captain of the Hesperia, San Bernardino County Sheriff's Department for the Hesperia branch, all of the aspects of the police chief over the Metropolitan Police in Nevada. Okay, the demon that's from LAPD, by the way, that is currently over the Nevada State Police, engaged in the same exact pattern of conduct in Nevada that I documented when I was there. All of these government agents, they're fully engaged in this pattern of conduct. They are fully interested in trying to conceal what they cannot deny. Now you're talking about just being a loser and just wanting to just cover up mud. They're blatantly just trying to engage in covering it up. And I'm going to prosecute YouTube for it. I want to be clear. There is a series of ongoing events that are serving to obstruct justice, and YouTube is not an innocent bystander at all. It's not. And nor is it reasonable to maintain that. And there's already evidence that YouTube cannot blame on anybody else. They're the ones that engaged in conduct that's already documented, removing evidence of the environment, sunlight and the sun, there's no basis for them to ever have engaged in conduct, removing my evidence, placing age restrictions on it, claiming that they're removing it because it was inappropriate, it was explicit in one way or another. And they've done that, and they did it tons and tons and tons of times. You know, a ton is equivalent to 12. I have tons and tons of emails of them removing, at the time they were providing email communications regarding erroneous reasons. First of all, it's erroneous because this is blowing the whistle. Second of all, it's erroneous because it wasn't even in conformity to their own policies. Third of all, they represent the state. It's a venue online, and the government, acting vicariously, will not hinder an American citizen from blowing the whistle and publishing evidence online, even if it's on your website, because they represent the people of the state. And these companies make way too much money. They're fully interested in the P.O.C. They're biased, in other words. Their headquarters are in California, and they're engaged in that pattern of conduct, including on the internet. And what the Ontario Police Department is doing over my apartment in the specific environment, while I am reviewing a criminal act of obstruction of justice, removing my evidence offline to conceal it, to protect sex offenders, such as Walden of the Ontario Council over the Ontario International Airport, while commercial airline planes that he is aware of are group stalking over this apartment complex, a senior citizen apartment complex, in rhythm, in sync with what I'm doing online for purposes of monitoring, group stalking, criminal surveillance, and intimidation, retaliation, harassment, and terrorism as an entity, in sync with the state that you just saw flying over my apartment building, which is never going to create any kind of earthquake. That's the P.O.C. Okay, the entities engaging in this, while they're engaged in surveillance online, trying to avoid. This is the government admitting that it's a liar, admitting that it's a criminal, admitting that it is literally a despicable, lying stalker, engaging in trying to just hide it. So you can't deny it. You don't look innocent at all whatsoever. And so this is an admitted defeat by the government that wants to hide my evidence. That's what this is relevant to. You're talking about what's a loser, and I said that a long time ago. The government is a loser that's stalking me. Even at this hour, flying over the apartment building that they know that I'm inside of, and they know exactly what I'm doing on the internet. And by the way, they've been engaged in this for consistently documented for years. Okay, so I just want to be clear. An ordinary function of the internet, and this is no ordinary channel. This is evidence regarding blowing the whistle on the government, where the government is threatening your life on a moment-by-moment basis. Engaged in documented acts of kidnapping. That's the agency that's stalking in a helicopter. Okay. You have what is Mike Lorenz. You're talking about going to federal prison for what I'm documenting right now. And you are engaged in criminal conduct while you are a terrorist leader, just like Osama bin Laden. You are not a chief of police. Ordinary contract law principles such as, well, I have to maintain specific knowledge about criminal conduct that I'm going to be purportedly held liable for when I'm not even knowledgeable. All of that is an illusion. Mike Lorenz is a criminal fully engaged in group stalking. The entire department of the Ontario Police is engaged in group stalking, and you will be held accountable as a leader of a terrorist organization that's engaged in domestic terrorism, targeting an American citizen and then trying to cover it up. You will be held accountable for it. And it's the same with Google. Okay, I want to make sure that I'm pointing all of this out. The entity is engaged in what is conduct and laws that are serving for what is an ongoing facilitation of a corrupt system. All of these illusionary bases of what there has to be a certain amount of knowledge before you can hold someone civilly or criminally accountable. They're all engaged in the pattern of conduct together. The entire government is engaged in this criminal conduct. And you're talking about holding the one at the top of that food chain responsible for criminal conduct where American citizens are murdered and kidnapped as a result of it, absent any liability, accountability for it. There's no illusion of the chief of police doesn't know about what the department is doing with the helicopters, what the department is doing with regard to making up charges and arresting people and manufacturing charges in a court that's engaged in that same criminal system, with the sheriff's department that's engaged in that same criminal system. The P.O.C. is showing how every aspect of this government is engaged in the pattern of conduct. You're going to be held responsible civilly and criminally. And Mike Lorenz is faced with what is a criminal prosecution. The mayor knows what the county sheriff's engaged in and what the department under the county sheriff's leadership is engaged in. The mayor knows what the demon, the corrupt actor, and the corruption that the police department is engaged in. They're closely working together. The mayor knows what the population, the state of California, is engaged in. It is impossible to have this pattern of conduct in common amongst people in two different regions, such as in a corner in Los Angeles and at the Ovid Family Community Library in San Bernardino County. That's a pattern of conduct, and the population are engaging in an identical pattern of conduct, which includes the supernatural, and the mayors of both cities, they know exactly what's going on, and they're a part of it. and they're acting with these corrupt government actors. And so, like I stated earlier on the podcast and in the video, the entities engaged, that is Ontario Police Department, which Mike Lorenz is accountable for the criminal activity that this department is currently engaged in. And every demon before Mike Lorenz in that same position has been engaged in the same exact criminal system. That's why I have years of criminal surveillance and terrorism and kidnapping upon federal group stalking monitoring by the same exact department, the Ontario Police Department. Okay, this is what the entity is doing while they are seeking to obstruct justice because they are scared to death of the prosecution that they're not avoiding. This is an admitted defeat by the state of California. And this is going to be noted, and it's going to be at the center of the prosecution of the state of California. This is P.O.C. It's currently 10:20 p.m.